Moving to the theory of production. Production can be defined simply as the creation of utility to satisfy human wants. It is the transformation of raw materials into better form that would yield satisfaction to consumers. Production can also imply rendering of services like transportation, barbing, teaching, medicine, etc. in order to satisfy human wants, and it also includes the distribution of these goods to get to the final consumer. Basically, production is the transformation of raw materials into finished or semi-finished goods, and the distribution of these materials to the final consumers in order to satisfy their wants or to provide utility. Moving to the types of production, we have primary production, secondary production, and tertiary production. Primary production is the basis for further production. It involves the extraction of raw materials from the soil, which are either consumed straight or processed into other forms. Examples include agriculture, mining, quarrying, and many others. It also involves fishing, which is primary production, just basically the extraction of raw materials from the soil. Raw materials could include crude oil, it could be gold, it could also be agricultural products. Just basically the extraction of these products from the soil to satisfy human wants or for the production of more goods. Yes. We also have secondary production. This entails the conversion and transformation of these raw materials obtained from the soil into finished or semi-finished products that would satisfy human wants. Example are cement, which is gotten from limestone. Limestone is a natural material. We have furniture gotten from timber, and etc. Tertiary production, then, this is just simply the rendering of commercial and professional service to complement the two other categories of production that I've mentioned earlier. Examples include barbing, also includes teaching, rendering professional services like banking, transportation, etc. What are goods? Goods are those materials, those tangible materials that are used for the satisfaction of needs. Goods can be seen and they are physical. They can be seen, they can be touched, and they are used for the satisfaction of human wants. While services are those intangible aspects of production that cannot be seen but also satisfy humans' wants, just like teaching. It's a service, you cannot feel it, it's not tangible, but it can satisfy humans' wants, can satisfy the want of wanting to learn or needing to learn, needing information. We have types of goods. We have two types of goods, which are consumer goods and capital goods. Consumer goods are those goods that are purchased for their own sake. That is, they are purchased just to satisfy humans' wants directly. They can be non-durable and they can be durable. Examples of non-durable goods like banana, oranges, and foodstuff, etc. And examples of durable goods are fridge, washing machines. Just basically goods that would last for a longer period of time are called durable goods, while those that cannot last for a long period of time are called non-durable goods. Then we have capital goods or producer goods. These are the goods that are not used for the sake of themselves, but are used for the production of other goods. Example, machinery, equipment, raw materials, etc. These goods are not required for their own sake, but required for the production of other goods. Then we are going to be looking at the factors of production. These resources are needed to be combined in the production process. Just basically, the resources that are needed to be combined in the production process for production to take place are called factors of production. And there are four major types of factors of production, which includes land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. What is land? Land is basically the free gift of nature that was not made by man. the free gifts of nature that was not made by man includes farmland, mineral deposits, sunshine, water bodies, etc. Land refers to the surface of the earth and also the resources underneath it. That is basically what land did. Even forests, it refers to as land, water bodies, lagoons, just basically all the free gifts of nature that man was not able to make. Characteristics of land. Land is a free gift of nature, like I've said earlier. It is geographically immobile. It is subject to the law of diminishing returns. We're going to look into what diminishing returns is. It is limited to supply. That is to say that land is geographically fixed and therefore immobile. You cannot move land from one place to the other. It is used for the production of agricultural products, agricultural crops. It is used for fishing, e.g. the water bodies. It is used for extraction of raw materials. Land provides life for it provides life, sort of life for those animals living under the sea, the ones, and even human beings. It provides life to them. Also, land provides sunshine, which is a form of solar energy. Then we're going to be moving to labor. What is labor? Labor refers to human efforts, both mental and physical efforts, in the production of goods and services. Labor is measured in the amount of period put to production, like hours, e.g. man hours. Also, using the marginal productivity of labor. Labor is measured in the amount of time that is put into the production of goods and service. We have characteristics of labor. Labor is immobile. Labor can move from one place to the other, unlike land that is immobile. Labor is mobile, it can move from one place to the other, unlike land that is immobile. It cannot be used anyhow because it has feelings. The owner of labor as well as labor are one in itself. That is, the owner of labor and labor are one in itself. I am the one providing the labor. It's the same person. I'm the same person providing the labor, and I am the labor. That is just basically what that means. The reward for a labor is wages and salary. The reward for land is rent. I forgot to mention that earlier. The reward for land is rent, and the reward for labor is wages and salary. Labor is a very important aspect of production, and it's divided into three parts. We have skilled labor, unskilled labor, and semi-skilled labor. What is skilled labor? Skilled labor exists it is acquired through trainings, education, and all of that. Skilled labor, it requires a particular period of time that somebody is expected to pass through training and acquire skills in order to be able to provide this labor. Example, we have doctors, lawyers, engineers, and so on. Unskilled labor, this type of labor, there is no form of formal training required for labor to act. It does not depend on any qualification. So employment under this type of labor is very rampant since there's no need for qualifications. Examples are security guards, cleaners, factory workers, laborers, etc. There's semi-skilled labor. This is the type of labor that is between the two extremes, which are skilled labor and unskilled labor. This type of labor has acquired little training in a workplace due to continued exposure. It could be a dropout of training or apprentice of a school. Yes, example of this type of labor, which is semi-skilled labor, are auxiliary nurses. They did not pass through the formal institute of learning. They learned it from an hospital. Because of exposure, they stayed in the hospital for a long period of time, thereby gaining the skill. We also have roadside mechanics, clerical workers, etc. These people did not go to school or obtain any form of qualification to start the labor. Rather, because of exposure, because they've been exposed to this field of work for a long period of time, they can now carry out labor themselves because of exposure. Importance of labor. It is the most mobile factor of labor. That is the factor of labor that can be moved from place to place. It is readily available for hiring. Labor is readily available for hiring. It constitutes the most active portion of the population, that is the labor force. Labor organizes all other factors of production. It organizes all other factors of production. Then capital. What is capital? Capital is the man-made non-consumable goods that are used in the production of goods and services. It is the form of wealth that is set aside for the production of further wealth. It is made up of anything that is not produced for direct satisfaction or consumption, but to help further production of goods and services. Classification of capital. We have four types of classification of capital. We have fixed capital, circulating or floating capital, liquid or current capital, and social capital. Fixed capital, this type of capital is said to be fixed because it is not used up in a production process. That is, it can last for a long period of time. Examples are plant, machinery, buildings, etc. Circulating or floating capital. This is capital that is used up in a production process or changed into finished goods. We have examples such as raw materials, money, seedlings, etc. Unlike fixed capital, this capital is used in the process of production or changed into finished goods. We have liquid or current capital. This is the capital that is required for the day-to-day running of a business. The capital required for the day-to-day running of a business is called current capital. And social capital, as the last form, is the capital provided by the government to aid production. Examples are road, electricity, water, etc. The reward for capital is interest or dividend. What are the characteristics of capital? Capital is man-made. It depreciates with time and usage. It involves different forms like machinery, fertilizer, seedlings, and money. It is durable. It is highly mobile. Yes, it helps in large production of goods and services. An entrepreneur is the last factor of production. The entrepreneur is the owner of the firm. In the case of a one-man business, he is the sole proprietor, the one that manages the firm. And in the case of limited liability companies, they are the shareholders. The shareholders make up the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the one that organizes all the other factors of production, and he is the risk bearer. He is the one that carries either the success or the failure of the business. The function of the entrepreneur: he initiates the business and supplies the initial capital. The entrepreneur is responsible for supplying the capital needed in the business. He organizes all other inputs. He bears the risk of the business. He takes decision for the business. He's the one that makes the decision. He bears the risk, whether loss or profit. Entrepreneur is responsible for bearing the risk. And he ensures the effective control of all other factors of production. Now we're going to the scale of production. The scale of production. The scale of production measures the size of production, inputs, and expected outputs of a firm or an industry, resulting from the expansion of the production level, which leads to increase in output and a reduction in its average cost. Scale of production measures the size of production, the inputs, and the expected output of a firm as a result of expansion, and the expansion will in turn lead to an increase in output and a reduction in the average cost. We have two types of scale of production. We have large scale production and we have small scale production. Large scale production is the act whereby firms employ huge capital, employs large number of labor, and produces in large quantity. This involves a huge amount of capital, large labor, and produces in large quantity. This is what is called large scale production. Then we have small scale production. Small scale production is a method whereby a firm employs a small amount of capital, few employers, simple tools, and the output gotten is a small quantity of output, unlike large scale where the output gotten is in large quantity. We have characteristics of skill or production. I've mentioned some of them earlier. We have capital, we have production technique, we have the product or service, we have economies of scale, we have employment. For small firms, they employ a small amount of labor, few laborers, but for larger firms, a larger amount of laborers will be employed. Capital. In small scale production, the capital required is small. It requires a small amount of capital for production to take place. While in large scale production, the capital required is huge, a huge amount of capital for production to take place. Then we have production technique. Small scale firms employ simple techniques and using simple tools, while large scale firms use and employs large techniques. Which okay, let me give an example. Let's say we have a small scale farmer and a large scale farmer. A small scale farmer will use hoes and cutlasses to carry out his job, while a large scale farmer would use tractors and other machineries to carry out his work. We cannot compare the output of these two types of farmers because they both did not employ the same method of production. The small scale farmer would receive a small amount of output, while the large scale farmer would receive a larger amount of output, given the technique of production used. We have economies of scale. Small firms do not really enjoy economies of scale. Economies of scale are the cost-saving benefits a firm enjoys as a result of expansion of their outputs within a firm or an industry. The cost-saving benefits a firm or industry enjoys as a result of internal increase. So for small firms, they do not enjoy these benefits, while large firms enjoy these benefits because there is already an internal increase. Like I said earlier, I've given the definition of economies of scale. We have two types of economies of scale. We have internal economies of scale and we have external economies of scale. Internal economies of scale are the cost-saving benefits a firm enjoys as a result of internal expansion within that firm. While external economies are the cost-saving benefits a firm enjoys as a result of, expansion or concentration of firms in the same area. The cost-saving benefits a firm enjoys as a result of the presence or concentration of firms producing or concentration in the same area. What are cost-saving benefits? Examples are, let's say for internal economies, large firms with large capital will be able to take insurance policies to protect the business. That's an example of a cost-saving benefit. We also have welfare benefits. For larger firms, they'll be able to provide more for their employees compared to smaller firms that would not be able to provide as much for their employees. We have market economies, and these markets, the cost-saving benefits that a firm will enjoy. Among the cost-saving benefits a firm will enjoy, we have markets. Larger firms will be able to buy more raw materials to sponsor production, while small firms will not be able to afford this large amount of raw materials rather they'll go for smaller amounts of raw materials. Also, as a result of increase in expansion, larger firms enjoy increased outputs. At least the output that they get from production has been increased because of an internal expansion, while the average cost used in production reduces. So they enjoy increased outputs and also reduced average costs. They also enjoy access to huge capital, finance, which are examples of cost-saving benefits. Then we have, I'm moving to the two periods of production. We have the short run period and the long run period. The short run period is a production period that is too short for the firm to change the amount of fixed factors used in production. Within this period, there are fixed inputs and there are variable inputs. In this period, some factors are classified as fixed. Examples are machinery and land, while other factors are classified as variable, have labor, raw materials, etc. Fixed factors of production in the short run are, like I explained earlier, the ones that cannot be used up in the production process. Examples are land, while the variable ones are like labor that are used in the process of production. So short run period is basically the period where we have some factors that are fixed and some factors that are variable. The long run period, on the other hand, is a period where the producer has had enough time to increase the amount of both fixed and variable factors used to produce outputs. Therefore, in this period, all the factors of production are termed variable. In this period, in the long run period, all the factors of production have become variable, unlike the short run period where some factors were fixed and some factors were variable. We also have concepts of production, just like we had in utility, concepts in consumer behavior. We also have in production, we have total product, average product, and marginal product. Also 3 types. Total product refers to the summation of all the goods produced by a firm within a particular period of time. Total product refers to the summation of all the goods produced by a firm within a particular period of time. It is just the summation, addition of all the goods. It can also be calculated as average product times labor. So average product times labor can give us total product, and total product can also be calculated by summing up the amount of goods produced by a firm at a given period of time. We also have average product. Average product is basically the division of the total products by the quantity of goods produced. The division of the total products by the available variable factor, e.g. labor. The division of total products by the available variable factor. So mathematically, average product is calculated as total product divided by labor. Then we have marginal product. This is a change in total product resulting from the use of additional units of variable factor. A change in total product resulting from the use of additional units of variable factor is just simply a change in total product divided by a change in variable factor, which is labor. Marginal product is a change in total product divided by a change in variable factor. Variable factor is labor. Now moving to the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns states that as more and more units of variable factor are added to fixed inputs, the marginal utility would increase up to a point, after which it would start to decline. It states that as increasing quantities of a variable factor are added to fixed inputs, variable factor is labor, are added to fixed inputs, which is land, output will increase up to a point, after which if any more amount of variable factor, that is labor, is added, the output gotten would become small. That is, after each successive addition of variable input to fixed input will increase output up to a point, after which output will start to fall. Using farming as an example, let's say a farmer employs 10 people to work on his farmland. 10 people were working on the farmland. The output gotten was 40. Let's say they were working to produce maize. The output gotten was 40. But then he added one more person. The output increased. He added 2 more people. The output increased to a point that it could no longer increase because it was no longer necessary to add more people. But the farmer continued to add people, which made the output of output got from that farmland to start to fall, because there were too many people working on the farmland. Some people would be lazying about, some people would not carry out their jobs well, and this would lead not make labor to be efficient. What's known as efficiency of labor is just basically when labor increases output without additional units of labor. So in the case of diminishing returns, any additional unit of variable factor, which is labor, is added to land that is fixed factor. It would make the output gotten to increase up to a point, after which any more addition would lead to a decrease. We have stages of diminishing returns. We have increasing returns, constant returns, and decreasing returns. Increasing returns is when the inputs of all factors result in a more than proportional increase in output. That is when an increase would lead to when an increase in input would lead to a double increase in output. Constant returns is a linear homogeneous production function where a proportionate change in input produces a proportional level of output. In this case, both inputs and outputs remain on the same level. Inputs and outputs remain on the same level. While decreasing return is a situation whereby an increase or change in input of factor of production will lead to a less than proportionate change in output. In this case, when there is an increase in input, output would not increase, rather it would fall. So we're going to be looking now at the concept of production and their calculations, how to calculate them. So given the table below, we can see that while the labor, that is variable factor, was 1, the average product, marginal product, and total products remained at 100. When it increased to 2, remember formula for average products is total utility divided by variable factor. When it increased to 2, total utility was 300 and variable factor was 2. So 300 divided by 2 led to 150. While marginal product is remember change in total products divided by change in labor. And how do we get change in total product? Change in total product is simply total product of the variable factor below minus total product of the one above divided by the variable factor below minus the one above, which is basically TP2 minus TP1 over Q2 minus Q1. So in this case, we have 300 as TP2 and 100 as TP1. 300 minus 100, 200, and then 2 minus 1, 1. So for marginal products in this case, it became 200. And we can see that in this case, marginal products along with total products, when total products was increasing, marginal products was decreasing. When total products reached its maximum, marginal products will be equal to 0. Gets to a point where it starts to become negative. Gets to a point where it starts to become negative. Looking at the curve below, we can see that total products will increase to a particular point where additional units of variable factor would make total products to fall. So we see that total products was increasing, and then it got to a point where it started to fall. An average product is a curve that also slopes almost like the way total product curve slopes, but in this case it's going downwards. Average products can decrease, but it never becomes negative. Average product decreases but never becomes negative, while marginal product decreases to a point where it becomes negative. That is all on theory of production today. Thank you.